Hello and welcome back to Studio 685 here on Broadway in Bayonne, New Jersey. We have a very exciting show for you today, only because we've never done music before. And we are very excited to have with us the founder of the Guitar Den. Very nice, very talented man who comes to us from another part of Jersey, but please introduce yourself.
I'm Rich Casella. I'm a professional musician. I've been playing guitar since, I don't even want to say, for about 35 years.
Okay.
And I've played hundreds of gigs all over New Jersey and New York City. And I founded the Guitar Den, and I teach kids how to play guitar now.
Okay, so we're having a bit of a gig here. What is a gig?
A gig is any kind of live performance. That's a great question.
Okay.
A gig is a live performance whereby you will gain experience in playing for people.
Okay.
Any kind of, it could be a park, it could be a church, it could be a bar, it could be family, a little barbecue outside, anywhere.
Okay, so we have a gig.
We have a gig right here.
We have a gig at Studio 685.
Yeah.
So many people in town now are starting to come to life in regards to music and culture, and I'm seeing a lot of changes happening that are wonderful changes.
It's inevitable.
Yes, it's inevitable that art and the creative energy will find us. Imagination is evidence of the divine.
True.
And you've brought with you from Ortley Beach. That's where you're originally from?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, how did you find Bayonne?
Necessity.
Okay.
Because Bayonne is where artists will land. I think a true artist would land on the periphery of the artistic mecca, which is obviously New York City.
Okay.
But Bayonne was perfect for, the rent was reasonable when I moved in. And obviously, Jersey City's getting priced out. I was in Brooklyn, that got priced out. I was on the Upper East Side of New York City. I didn't like it there. And Bayonne just welcomed me with open arms. I mean, I think it was, in hindsight, it was absolute pure luck that I landed in Bayonne. Bayonne afforded me the luxury of playing the entire Jersey Shore, living reasonably, forming my own freelance computer programming business that ended up in the Guitar Den, and afforded me the luxury of being close to New York City, close to the entire Jersey Shore, Bergen County, West Middlesex County, and I played gigs all over the entire area. So
all this happened before the bridge closed?
Yeah, yeah. I stay away from the bridge.
Okay, because that would add a little bit of a challenge nowadays.
It would be a challenge. I use the turnpike.
Okay, but now, everything obviously is improving and changing in town. One of the most important things that I believe in is that children need to be exposed to music and need to know that there's an easier way to learn, and from what you've told me.
Right. I had an incredible experience years ago when I was playing at the Back Fence. The Back Fence was a bar on Bleecker Street that opened 2 weeks after World War II ended.
Really?
Yes, and Richie Havens started there. There's a theory that Dylan started there. The amount of famous musicians that went through the Back Fence is you can't count them. And when I got into New York City, I randomly walked into the Back Fence and saw the musician on the stage, and there was stars in my eyes. I was like, that's what I want to do. That looks so much fun. And years later, that was me on the stage.
Oh, so you performed there?
I was a resident at the Back Fence. I had the 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. slot on Fridays and Saturdays, and it was just an absolute dream come true. This was 2011. I started playing in the 80s.
Okay.
So when I had
I wasn't born yet. No, that's not true.
I had an epiphany on the stage.
Okay.
I was standing in a Back Fence. There was essentially 70 people in front of you, and there was a bunch of people sitting right here. So the whole place would be watching. It was a relatively small bar, and it was great. And I'm standing on the stage, and I'm playing a Bob Marley song.
I love Bob Marley.
Okay. And Bob Marley songs are 3 chords. And I thought to myself, I learned how to play every scale under the sun, every inversion of every scale, every type of chord, sharp 11, flat 5s. I learned music theory. I was learning how to note read music, and here I am playing a 3-chord song. And I was, and they said something to me at the Back Fence that I'll never forget. The back fence was one of the few bars where you didn't have to bring all your friends. They were packed.
Really?
They were so packed that the stand-up bass player that I played with used to have to carry the stand-up bass over his head through the crowd so we could get to the downstairs room where we would wait.
Was this the East Village?
This is the East Village,
okay,
right?
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, West Village.
West Village?
Yeah,
okay.
This is West Village.
Okay.
It's 151 Bleecker Street. It was 151 Bleecker Street.
Okay.
And I was standing on the stage and I was playing a Bob Marley song, and I thought to myself, I could have done this in 1983.
Okay.
The exact thing that I'm doing I could have done in 1980. How come it took me till 2010, 2009 to do this?
And why do you think it did?
Because, well, that's a great question. Well, I wasn't in New York City for one. I was up and down the East Coast, but I think that nobody told me the ins and outs of the music business. Mm-hmm. Nobody told me how the music business operates. Mm-hmm. There were conflicting messages all over the place, discouraging messages, and when I got into it and I figured out how it operates, I realized that there's a formula to being in the music business.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And once you get the formula in your mind, you can take that really anywhere. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was on the back fence, at the back fence, and I'm playing 3-chord songs, and I'm saying, anybody could do this. Anybody could do this.
So that's kind of what gave you the intro to decide that it would be easy to teach,
well,
by using a 3-chord method?
Yes. Well, that's one of the, I think, in hindsight, I think there's about 5 very strong reasons why I teach right now.
Okay.
And obviously the first one was necessity. I have to pay my bills.
Okay, necessity. But
sure.
It's always about the money. Usually about the money. With artists, not
yeah.
always. But, okay, so the first one is you had to pay the bills.
That's a great question. We could probably have a 5-hour show on that alone.
We probably could, but it's not a 5-hour show.
Okay.
Okay, so what would be the second thing?
Why I formed the Guitar Den? Mm-hmm. Computer programming and graphic design and my union of all these things into one business mm-hmm. was a very strong concept too. Computer program. Without, I could never have been just a guitar teacher. Mm-hmm. I could never have just said this is an A chord. It had to be united with pitch detectors through the computer.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What computers can do and learning right now, and this is a whole nother show, what computers are capable of right now, what young people are being introduced to mm-hmm. is incredible. Mm-hmm. I think that their lack of attention or perceived lack of attention isn't necessarily an attention deficit. It's because they're getting hit with so many
different things.
So many different things, mm-hmm. and subsequently they're smarter.
So, well, the only thing I was a music major at Jersey City State College back then, and all I remember ever having was the metronome back and forth.
Right.
I mean, that was really all we had back then, and the instrument itself.
Right.
But you're right about that. I mean, there probably are parts of the brain that are opening up through technology that were never tapped on before.
Google is incredible. I remember working on word processors, just going concept by concept and putting together. I remember we would have 5-page papers that were due, mm-hmm. and now all you have to do is just Google something, and there's a plethora of information on the subject. They mm-hmm. could just read about it and process so much more now. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I think it's I think there's 2 sides to the story here. I think, you know, on one, why don't we have greater guitar players? Why was Eddie Van Halen the greatest guitar player ever?
Well, to you, maybe.
Well, sure.
That he must be one of your favorites.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay.
But we don't have an Eddie Van Halen today.
Okay.
We have we have the means to learn mm-hmm. With ease. Where are great guitar players? You know, so.
Well, sometimes I think like that, and then I don't want it to seem like, oh, well, anyone from back in the day thinks it was always better back then.
Right.
But truth be told, it really does seem that way.
It was definitely. What happened, I think, my perspective is, I think what happened between 1968 and 1982, mm-hmm. in 1,000 years, they're going to look back on it and they're going to say,
almost like a renaissance?
That was it. I mean, starting with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, I think I was 67, and mm-hmm. ending in 82. But that's arguably, I never speak in absolutes. Mm-hmm. That's like a bar conversation or a barbershop conversation.
But the further you get away from that time frame, when you do look back, and when I see my grandson talking to me about, because he's very musically inclined, he talks about performers that I knew when I was a teenager.
Right.
And it's kind of, it's a very interesting thing to see at what we knew as music through young eyes.
It's extremely interesting. And I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think older music is actually outselling newer music right now.
Really?
Pink Floyd, The Wall, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. I think they might be running half and half on the charts right now.
And what do you contribute to that?
The fact that the music was phenomenal, it was incredible, it was great, and the proliferation of it through technology, the means by which they can access the music. All they have to do is Google it. I mean, it was very difficult.
The availability of it. That's
Absolutely.
true. That is true.
Right.
I didn't think of that.
Sure. And I remember specifically reading articles. I remember hearing Van Halen 1 and thinking that, how did they record this? How did they get this sound? And years later, I read an article, I found it on the internet, and all he did was take a microphone, just 2 microphones like this, and put it up against a speaker cabinet. That was the big secret. But now you would find that out right away. So as soon as I found that out, I started to take 2 microphones, I started to experiment. But had I found that out years ago, I mean, I would have been experimenting with different sounds. But the internet gives us access to all this information and all this incredible music.
True. So the secrets that these particular performers had really would not have ever been revealed had Google not decided to take it and put it online. I mean, nowadays it is true, though. I mean, so much of what you want to know, if you don't ask Siri, who, by the way, can be a man or a woman, because I switched to the guy today. If you don't ask Siri, you Google it, and you have 5 different versions of what you're asking, and you can read through it and come up with, you know, information. There's no reason why people couldn't know things or shouldn't know things.
It's all video too now. Like, I personally, if I'm curious about something, I almost don't, I don't research it through, I don't look for articles, I look for videos.
Oh, really?
Sure. Because the videos are more direct.
Okay.
And they have visuals to complement and enhance the learning.
Interesting. So so let's say, for instance, I brought my child to the guitar den.
Right.
Okay. So the introduction, when you are introduced to the child, tell me how you draw them in and you bring them into a learning experience.
Great question. What I do is a very short showcase, and I pick up my guitar and I play, and I do the same thing that my guitar teacher did for me. And he played for a second and my eyes lit up. I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw his fingers go across the fretboard very quickly.
Okay, so you know what? Let's tell everyone what the fretboard is.
Okay, the fretboard is just this area of the guitar.
Okay.
And these little areas right here are called frets, and it's very simple. They just control pitch. And I saw my guitar teacher play, and I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I saw. And so what I do is I pick up the guitar, I have the young person across from me, and I say, we're going to put 3 concepts into your mind right now. And I make it very simple. I say, hold your hand up. Here's finger 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it down, put that concept aside in your mind.
Okay, can we try?
Of course.
How about...
You want to try it?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
I'm going to try. Okay. Let's see, this is a first. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so this goes on this.
Just like that.
Watch the set.
Now
Andy, watch the set. Okay, and I grab this.
Just grab that pick right there.
How cute is that? Okay.
Pick holder.
Okay, that's a pick holder. That's a pick holder. Okay.
So what I say is I tell them to hold their hand up.
Okay.
And then we number the fingers, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
And then I say, now put that aside in your mind.
Okay.
The second concept that we're going to talk about are the frets. And I explained the frets in the manner that I just did. Frets control pitch. This area is fret 1. This area is fret 2.
Okay.
Now there's a very important concept. I can play an entire gig without going beyond this 3rd fret.
Really?
Now I can do this. Right?
You can.
I can. However, in order to play the gig, I don't have to go beyond the 3rd fret. Oh, what a night. Late December back in '63. You don't see me going above the 3rd fret.
Special time for me.
So it's a great song. It's fret 1, fret 2, fret 3.
Okay.
Now take that concept and put it aside in your mind.
Okay.
The 3rd concept are the strings. So we have string 1, string 2, and then I ask them string
3, 4, 5, 6.
You'd be surprised. You have to
Really?
embed these things into their minds. So then I give them a mini quiz.
Okay.
Show me your 3rd finger.
Oh, this is family television.
Yeah.
I know where it is.
I know.
Okay.
I made the mistake of asking one kid. I love the kids. One time I said, "Show me your 2nd finger," and he did. His father was like, "Don't ask him to do that again."
Don't ask him to do that.
So your 3rd finger is here. The 2nd fret is here.
Okay.
And the 3rd string, for example, would be here.
Okay.
So I say we're going to fret our 1st chord.
Okay.
We're going to take our 2nd finger and put it on the 2nd fret.
Okay.
On the 2nd string.
On the 2nd string. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we're going to...
Wait, the 2nd string up above.
3rd finger.
Oh, the 3rd finger on the
Correct.
2nd string.
On the 3rd fret.
On the 3rd... Wait, the 3rd fret or the... Wait a second.
On the 2nd
You're
fret.
dealing with the senior citizen now, okay? I'm not a
now,
child.
Now, in
Go ahead.
your case, what we're going to do, I'm telling you what I say to the kids. Now, in your case, we're just going to fret a straight E chord, which is take your 1st finger and put it right across the 2nd fret.
Okay.
Across the 4th and 5th strings.
Oh, geez. 4th and 5th.
4th and 5th, just like this.
Okay.
And just drape it across those strings, and then just hit these strings right here. The lower strings. Right here.
How could I screw this up?
Okay, let me see what you got there. That's it. Press it down. Now, now strum that. That's it.
There's a sound.
There you go. Now you're hitting the A chord here. Now just go like this. That's it. You got the A chord. You got it going. Now what we do is, you've been for cotton, I sure well, I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go?
I know this one.
I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe. Okay. It's that simple.
Ooh.
Now,
now
it's very important to note that all of the songs that I play can be played in the keys of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Okay.
What happens after G?
What happens after G? Well, it would be H, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay.
It reverts back to A.
Okay.
Now, what you did with your right hand was a basic down-up strumming technique. Now, the only thing I would add into it is something called a mute, which sounds like this.
Oh, I like that.
That replicates a snare drum. So you have an entire band inside your guitar, right? You have the bass, you have the guitar, you have a lead guitar, you have vocals. I heard about your love giving sight to the blind, and you have the drums. That's why I love the guitar, because it's a portable band.
Wow.
That's why you can go to the park, you can entertain people, and that's why people play solo acoustic gigs.
Okay.
Now,
have you ever done that in Union Square Park?
It's where I became a musician.
Oh, really? Did you know Twinkle? Do you know the guy that used to play the piano? Oh no, you wouldn't. I don't think you're old enough. There was a guy that used to pull a piano, Silver Bells. He used to pull a piano and put it under the arch, and
okay.
Silver Bells was his name.
No, I don't remember him.
I know you
There's a
wouldn't.
modern day equivalent, believe me.
There is?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I became a musician in Washington Square Park.
Oh, so you did?
Oh, sure.
Cool.
Washington Square Park was the first time I ever played guitar and had a group of people around me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have these people in the palm of my hand.
Was there a hat on the...
No, I never did that. I never asked for money for...
No?
No. I mean, they threw dollars at me and everything, but I was
Really?
like, yeah, okay, just whatever.
Wow.
Not too much.
Cool.
But yeah.
Now, what about Bayonne Park? Could we ever...
There's probably 100 people that are going to watch this show and say, I saw that guy in Bayonne.
Really?
And they'd be right, because it was me.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I take my guitar, I play for the kids, they surround me, I have a bunch of pedals, I let them play the pedals, I bring this guitar.
Okay.
I have them strum along with me, it's a lot of fun.
Interesting. Now, where did you go to school for this? Or
I
are you self-taught?
I took lessons, but I tried to go to school for music, but
It didn't work?
why?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I went to the school of back fence.
Okay. So, is this the only instrument you play?
No.
Most people who have that talent, what else do you play?
I play keys, I play bass. At this point I orchestrate for many different instruments, vocals, vocal lines, drum lines. So I'll create the whole ensemble. But really the acoustic guitar is the most portable instrument that I would take anywhere. It's my first love.
And how old is this guitar?
This one I bought in 1997.
She looks, does it have a name?
It's transgender. No. It can use any
Caitlin.
bathroom.
It's Caitlin the guitar.
No. It doesn't have a name.
You
I never
didn't name it?
No.
It should have a name.
Let's name it now.
Well, what do you want to name it?
Clyde.
Clyde?
Sure.
I was going to say Bessie.
Bessie?
Bayonne Bessie. Yeah, but Clyde will work. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So we have. Is this your favorite guitar?
Oh yes.
Okay, this is the favorite.
Oh, this is my Taylor.
This is the fave. Okay. So when the kids come in now, do you have instruments for them to use there? Or
I
they
have
bring
this
their
little
own?
one.
Okay.
I have 2 travel guitars. I have a couple of guitars over at the church that I teach at, and yeah, we have electrics, we have acoustics, 2 travel guitars.
And we should mention the church is
The Grace Lutheran Church.
the Grace Lutheran Church.
Right. One of the places I teach is a Grace Lutheran Church. I'm expanding it to Jersey City. I give in-home lessons. I have them in my apartment if they choose
you do?
to. Oh yeah, I teach
Okay.
all over.
Okay. And if a person wanted to get in touch with you, they would contact you at
Facebook is the best way.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, you're finding that most people with the instant messengers now,
I love Facebook.
you do.
I love it.
It's an amazing thing.
It's great.
Do you have any of your performances on Facebook?
Droves.
You do?
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay, so people would then go into Guitar Den? That's what you are on Facebook. Okay.
Right. Facebook/Guitar Den.
Okay.
Or they could search Rich Casella.
Now, what is the youngest person you ever taught?
Good question. I thought that the youngest would be around 7. However, I have a couple of 5-year-old kids now,
Really?
and they're learning ukulele. Ukulele
Oh,
is yeah,
okay.
it's a 4-string guitar. It's just a very small one, and they're just fretting simple chords. And you know, you'd be surprised. A 5-year-old. I love watching a 5-year-old mind process its surroundings, their surroundings. It's incredible.
So if the youngest was 5, what would be the oldest you've ever taught?
Oh, I taught.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, I teach 70. I mean, there's no age limit.
Have you ever had someone come up to you and say, this is something I always wanted to do and now I'm ready?
Older, yes. However, older people don't tend to stick with it.
Really?
No, unfortunately, they don't. They realize that it takes a little bit of work, and they're like, they have too many things going on.
Okay.
You know.
And now, who would be your favorite guitar player of all time?
Oh, I think my favorite guitarist is Jimi Hendrix. I think
Jimi
he was.
Hendrix?
Yeah, I think pound for pound, he was the best.
Okay.
Him and Eddie Van Halen. I mean, those two just between. I mean, the music they wrote. Staggering.
And what do you attribute a successful guitar player to? Like you're talking about them. What do you think it is that sets them apart from anyone else?
When you're walking down the street and somebody is playing their music and you recognize and say, that's Leslie West, that's Jimi Hendrix, that's Eddie Van Halen, that's Steve Vai. When you can hear their musical signature, they have differentiated themselves as a guitarist.
And where do you find that in the music? Is it like something that's audible? Is it the tempo?
That's a great question. It's like if you hear your friend talk. If you had a best friend 20 years ago and you haven't seen him, and from behind you hear their voice, the timbre of their voice.
Okay.
You'll say, "Is that Joe? That's Joe. That's got it." And you turn around and it's Joe.
And that's them.
You know, so. There's the way they play, the way they approach their instrument, the chords they use, the soloing styles. That's such an intangible thing that's where the soul is.
Now, what would have been the longest you've ever played?
A gig?
When you started playing, you get into it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And you get lost.
Yes.
In the sound.
Sure.
Okay. Can I ask you to get lost in the sound? And we have something different planned for this show. We will let Rich play us out, and I'm gonna sing a little bit. Trust me, if it's too much for you, turn off the sound. I mentioned to him that we might have a Mitch Miller moment. He didn't know who Mitch Miller was. Those of you who do follow the bouncing ball, Mitch Miller had a show on when I was a kid, and he would play music, and all the words would come across. It was really an early karaoke.
Oh, wow.
But you'd sit in your living room, and you'd watch the ball, and you would sing the song.
This is fate.
It was fun.
Now I'm going to program that on the
I want to
computer.
do this, though. I think it's important. So we're going to get started, and sing along if you know the songs. If not, you can make it up, because we won't hear you. Andy, please sing if you'd like. No, you won't.
Can I do the Johnny Cash song?
You can do anything you
Well,
want.
I hear that train a-comin', well, it's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. Ooh, I see that train rolling on down in San Antonio. Well, when I was just a baby, well, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. Well, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Well, I see that train rolling, I hang my head and cry. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I miss you. Remember, I'll always be true.
And then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day, and I send all my loving to you. Oh my, I will send you all my loving, darling, I'll be true. Okay, we can keep going. Come on, yeah.
Oh, we go, okay. How about that?